All JavaScript objects inherit properties and methods from a prototype. Let's create a simple object. Var object and name, let's give it my name. Then let's console dir. We can notice that we have the name property, but we also have this weird object. Underscore underscore proto underscore underscore. So let's open it and see what it has. We can see that this proto object has some methods like toString, value of, has own property, and so on. We have not created these methods when we created the object. JavaScript has done this automatically. Now let's try to create an array and see if it also has the proto object. We can notice that we have the array items, we have the length property that has been added automatically to the array, and also we have a proto object. Let's open it. And here you can see that this proto object has all the methods that we could use with arrays like concat, filter, for each, and so on. And also if we go down here, we see that this proto has also another proto that has these methods. Now let's try to create a function. We can see that this function has different properties that have been created automatically for us, like the argument, color, length, the name, and so on. And also we have two different objects, prototypes and an underscore underscore proto. Let's open proto. And here we can notice that we have all of the methods that we could use on functions, like the apply method, the bind method, the call method, and so on. Let's create a basic object and explain what is the purpose of the proto object. Here my object does not have a method called has own property. If we call this method on this object, JavaScript first will see if this object has that specific method. If it does not have it, if it does not find it, it will go and look for it in the prototype chain. It will go to this proto object and see if it has the method has own property. And if it finds it there, it will call it. And now when we call it, it returns true. So this method is working. Remember, the first thing that the JavaScript engine will do is to go and look for that specific method on this object. And if it finds it, it will call it. So let's create a method has own property to prove what I'm saying. I don't recommend that you redefine this method, but this is just for the purpose of demonstration. Let's just return a simple message. And now we can see that the JavaScript engine called this method on this object and not on the proto object. So let's remove it from here and it will call the one from the prototype chain. Great. This is how the JavaScript engine looks for methods on objects. It first sees if the method exists on that specific object, and if it does not find it, it will look for it following the prototype chain. The same thing happens to properties. I will add a new property to the object prototype. I don't recommend doing this. This is just to show you that there is something called the prototype chain. I will create a property on the object prototype. And now let's try to console log object.a. We don't have any property on our object, but this property is sitting on the proto object. Let's console dir the object. So first the JavaScript engine will see if this property is in our object. Well, it does not find it. So here it will go to the proto object. Then here it sees that there is a property A, so it returns it. That's basically what developers mean when they say JavaScript is a prototypal language. What we see here is the object prototype. Let's move and create an array to show you that the array will have a different prototype. The array has a different proto object, but if we go down, we can notice that its prototype is also pointing to the object prototype that has own property. So if we try to use this has own property on arrays, it will work. So let's do it. So first, the JavaScript engine will see if the array has a method called has own property. Well, it does not find it. So it goes to the proto object. It does not find it. It goes to the other proto object. It finds it, so it calls it. That's how objects work in JavaScript. If you create an object, JavaScript will create a new object with methods and properties. Then it will create another property to it that is basically pointing to the object in JavaScript, which has these methods and properties. If you create an array, this will be a little bit different. JavaScript will create an array with the items you add to it. Then it gives a proto property that is pointing to the array object. This array object has array methods like filter, for each, and so on. And also, that array object has a proto property that points to the object. And in JavaScript, when you call methods and properties, JavaScript will follow the prototype chain until it reaches the object. If it does not find it on the object, it will say that the property or the method does not exist. And the same thing with functions. We first have the function prototype, then the object prototype.